Council's funding and the need to make substantial savings have taken their toll on the sector as well as on the Council. We've taken two major steps to helping to sustain a strong voluntary sector over the last year, and I'd like to talk a little bit about both of them. The first was the special and unprecedented Grand Committee of Overview and Scrutiny Chairs and Vice Chairs that took place to consider the impact of the proposed savings. I'm sure that those who attended the meeting will agree with me that it was a good opportunity for a full consideration of the impact, and coming out of that meeting, in addition to further good scrutiny committee work, we were able to bring forward some alternative budget savings proposals that prevented almost £250,000 worth of cuts to the sector. The second is the complicatedly titled Social Value Framework and its accompanying commissioning, procurement and grant funding strategy with the voluntary community and faith sector, which sets out a clear group of expectations about how the Council and voluntary sector work together. It encourages voluntary sector organisations to bid for Council services and establishes the criteria for how we will assess social benefits. With a difficult financial climate set to continue, I think it is vitally important that charities put themselves forward to work with the Council in new ways, and correspondingly that the Council opens up its thinking about how we can work better with the voluntary sector. In pursuit of savings and in pursuit of better services for residents, the Council and the voluntary sector must be allies. The flagship scheme for the community development component of the portfolio is community hubs, which continue to be a priority for the Council. I was delighted to announce at Cabinet a few months ago that we were successful in securing £550,000 worth of grant funding from the Transformation Challenge Award to support the further development of hubs. The South Oxford Hub continues to be a well-used community resource, and the hub in Chadwell and Mary has also successfully come online, and I hope to see more hubs opening in the not-too-distant future. And finally, on the community development side, I'd like to touch on volunteers. We currently have over 250 volunteers working on a range of projects. I'm pleased to say that partnership working with Engage has resulted in a successful bid for £15,000 to support a volunteer time bank. You can read a bit more detail about time banking in the report, but I think it's an exciting and innovative way to promote volunteering and civic engagement in the borough. The second stream is equality and diversity, and the team have worked with a number of partners to tackle social exclusion, supporting the Community Safety Partnership and the Police Independent Advisory Group. We've also organised a number of events aimed at bringing together communities, and I'd like to pick out just a couple to highlight in this report. The first is the 6th iteration of the Big Lunch in Grays, which brought out over 1,000 visitors last July, and I'm sure everyone who attended would agree what a great day it was for the families who did attend. The second was the World War I commemorative event at Tilbury Fort, which was again incredibly well attended and saw lots of volunteer groups coming together to put on a great day. I should add at this stage that the commemorations for the centenary of World War I did finish on the 31st of December 2014. The steering group is still meeting, and we're hoping to bring forward events and educational opportunities in the coming years. And quickly, I'd like to also mention yesterday's Holocaust Memorial Day. The event itself was a big success, and it was well attended, and it had a moving multi-faith ceremony. But it was a privilege to have the opportunity to speak there. But as Councillor Ken announced earlier, someone decided that it would be a good idea to paint a swastika on the Holocaust War Memorial. This did nothing to attract from the commemoration of the day, but I think it should serve as a timely reminder that the equality and diversity work that we do as a council is vitally important. We will also shortly be launching the Thurrock Fairness Commission, an independent commission on fairness and inequality in the borough. This is something close to my heart, and I think it offers an exciting opportunity for us to look at how we can tackle the exclusion and inequality that continues to blight our borough. The final component of my portfolio is welfare reform, which I'm sure many members will recognise as a big issue. We've already heard tonight about the changes to council tax benefits that were made and what the council did to adapt to the Councillor Holloway's report. The other major component in my portfolio is the government's proposal to remove funding for the Essential Living Fund. You'll see a little bit more detail about the Essential Living Fund in the report, but this is essentially a non-cash crisis benefit dealing in white goods for people who are, kind of at their last resort. Cabinet agreed very recently to continue to roll this fund over for another year using an underspend from this year, but that's obviously still a live question with the funding in doubt. And the other big item on the horizon is the much delayed, much anticipated introduction of universal credit, which will begin for new single job seekers in Thurrock in March. As it's a stage launch, we don't anticipate a huge impact on launch, but it's something that has been going on for a long while, has a lot of moving parts, and we'll be keeping it constantly under review in the Welfare Reform Task Group. I was going to say something about don't ask any questions about regeneration, so I've only been doing it for 2 weeks, but the Mayor's done it for me. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Regeneration. Seriously, about a year ago, I suggested that we have a refresh of the Veterans Charter. So it takes it away from just being a nice plaque on the wall, and we start doing a little bit more for those leaving the services in the immediate future. Obviously that was done. However, at the time, other ideas were put forward, such as advertising jobs Thurrock Council with the armed forces, so they get a bit of a boost and perhaps a bit of a heads up of what's available out there. Can you outline what else has been done other than the refresh to try and help our veterans?
Really good piece of work, and I think it does need to be at the forefront of our thinking. As you say, there was the refresh last year. We've also entered the community covenant with a lot of other, with Essex County Council, and last year I spoke and we hosted a whole day event for the veterans groups in Thurrock to talk about the Veterans Charter and the community covenant. I think all these documents, particularly the Veterans Charter, is not a dusty on a shelf document. It's a living document. And we've made undertakings to the community of former service people in this community in that report, and I think we should continue to hold ourselves to it. I'd be happy to I mean, I can't comment sort of on the specifics that you raised, but I would be happy to talk about it further in how we can make sure it keeps evolving and keeps changing. It's not just, as you say, something nice to stick on the wall.
And thank you for your reports. I just want to highlight a couple of things. This is to acknowledge the good work done by the hundreds of individuals who give up their time to volunteer in their communities, who are not part of council volunteer programmes, the recognised volunteering programme that we've heard about, but equally give up their time to support their communities and local events. And also the many other voluntary community clubs that are not mentioned here, who are not connected again with council, but raise significant sums of money and help people, groups and good causes right here in Thurrock. Again, not mentioned here. I just ask that these two contributing groups are on our radar and are
outline what help is available to put assets back into the hands of the community and set up things like community shops. Because as you probably know, at Alban, we have no shop anymore.
Comprehensive suite of legislation around community right to bid and community right to challenge that can be used by community groups. But I don't think there's an overall one-size-fits-all approach for this. I think I'm happy to talk to any group and to put them in touch with the asset team and whatever, to have conversations about how we can best use our assets for community use that aren't being used for elsewhere. I was talking to Councillor Brooks, who isn't here yesterday, about a particular example that he had in his ward just yesterday. So I think if you do have examples like that you want to take forward, please come and find me and talk to me about them, and we can look at progressing that.
I've touched on it already tonight, and that is the Holocaust Memorial Day that was yesterday, and the day that we take to reflect on the slaughter of 6 million people surely just because they was Jewish. For some years, as a council, we've worked with the local schools and the organisations to take a group of young people off to Poland and Germany, so that we never forget what goes on there. And last night, a member of the old Diversity Champions was here at Youth Cabinet speaking about her time that when she came to Germany and the horror and the shock of what she see there. So we have to remember that we don't just take these young people to Germany and to Poland for just a weekend and they come away and forget. They carry on working. The mindless vandalism yesterday, it just shocks me that was Diversity Champions that walked 7 bridges in London that put money towards that memorial. And I know that it's really, really hard times and budgets are really tight, but could I ask the portfolio holder to work with officers again this year, and to maybe, we didn't take the young people this year, it's the first year for many years that we've not gone, but I'd like to see this reinstated, that we do try to work with outside organisations, and we do work with the schools, they do contribute to this, and I'd like to see it reinstated, because what happened yesterday has just reinforced that racism is alive and well here in Thurrock, and we need to make sure that young people are not susceptible to what happened yesterday.
I'm happy to take that away and look at it, because obviously, as you say, times are hard, and it was a very difficult decision to take at the time, but the events that happened yesterday have actually kind of clarified in my mind the need that we have to go further and do more on the education component. So I will speak to officers. The decision not to go this year wasn't a decision not to go any years. I think we need to have a look at that decision again, look at what other pots of money there are available, and try and make sure that we can run the programme in the future.